Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is going to kick off our first truly practical cyber discussion on marketing specifically, how to use cyber as a marketing tool, how to leverage cyber to round out accounts, and some very specific tips on what to do, who to go after, and how to go after them to pick up clients by having cyber in your tool belt. As always, if you're a first timer, welcome. I'm Ellie Feldman. I'm the managing director of Wingman Insurance. I will be your cruise director today. If you have any questions at all, please type them into the boxes on your screen. As before, the webinar will be available online in our tools section on the link. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to email us at help@wingmanins.com. All right, let's get started. What are we going to do today? We're going to hear about how cyber can get you in the door with your existing insureds or new insureds. Learn a few ways to put your cyber knowledge to good use. That's really going to be our key today. And learn some easy target groups to go after. And of course, as always, I'm here to answer any and all questions that you guys have. Our whole goal today is it's not about selling one policy, it's about selling 10 policies, 20 policies, 100 policies, selling in bulk, if you will, batch. All right, marketing cyber, how having cyber can add value to your agency. So what is it about cyber that makes it such an excellent marketing tool? There's really a few things. When you think about the lines of business that you guys are typically selling to your commercial insureds, workers' compensation is a commodity. They need it. It is a regularly sort of static pricing model, and they can get it from you or the guy down the street. That's not necessarily the case with cyber. The product is not standardized, the pricing is not standardized, and if you have something that's better than everybody else, you have a distinctive competitive advantage. And where we are in the cycle for cyber, just having a knowledge and understanding about cyber liability gives you a tremendous leg up with your competition. And why? Why is that? Number one, scarcity. People don't understand that this product that you can sell them is infinitely better than that which is already on the marketplace. A BOP add-on is not really a cyber policy at all. A standalone cyber policy that is excellent isn't readily available through every agent yet. And so that's your scarcity. Number two, the news. They are reading about cyber liability every single day in the news. And once they realize that that might mean them too, that's your opportunity to swoop in. And finally, fear. Fear is a driver for a lot of insurance. Personal insurance is a little bit different. You own a car, you must have car insurance. You have a mortgage, you must have homeowners. This is about this is about want, not need. So we obviously think that they need it, but they don't necessarily understand that. And so, a little bit of fear goes a long way in explaining to business owners the importance of cyber insurance. So now we talk about the first step, how to use cyber to get in the door. There's someone on this call today, and I'm not going to throw her under a bus, but she wrote her first policy by simply saying, does your current agent talk to you about cyber insurance? And when the person said, no, we haven't really discussed it, she said, well, that's, a problem because you really do need it. A company of your size and your importance. And this was, a small business, but a good business. And, she got that account. She got that whole account because she just asked, tell me what your current agent's doing about your cyber liability concerns. That's step one, get in the door, ask about it, because 8 times out of 10, their existing agent isn't even going to be talking about it in the way that you will be able to. Number two is talking to insureds about the real risk for everyday businesses. It isn't some hacker in a basement stealing all your data, and publishing it to the world. It's more nuanced than that today. The real cyber risks are ransomware and social engineering. And we've talked about them a lot. If you want to talk about it some more, let me know. We'll do whole webinars on those two if you'd like. How to talk to customers about those two specific things, but it's not what it was 10 years ago. It's not credit card numbers being stolen from Target. It's much more complicated than that. It's much more nuanced, and it absolutely applies to every size business. Small businesses alone, meaning under 50 employees, 43% of cyber attacks targeted those specific groups of businesses. That is small, under 50 employees, 43%. 50% of small and medium-sized businesses reported having an incident in the last 12 months. And so is your business at risk? If somebody asks you, is your business at risk? The answer is yes. It absolutely is yes. So that's step one. With your existing customers, with any current prospects on your list, it's a great thing to get you in the door. But the rest of our talk today is going to be entirely about marketing to groups. And with marketing to groups, the most important thing you need to know is that content is king. From the smallest group in your community to the National Association of Insurance Agents, everybody wants to talk about cyber liability and cybersecurity. It is the hottest topic out there. And surprisingly, very few people are able to fill that need to talk about it. It's quite frankly what keeps me in business. I'm able to go around and talk about cyber insurance and cybersecurity all the time because there are so many people out there who don't know or don't understand and want to know. And it's any organization that you come across would absolutely love to talk about cyber. Adding value to an organization by providing content that they want and need would be a tremendous value add for your agency. The best way you can do that is to bring that value with your knowledge of cyber liability and cyber security. All right, so now let's get to the practical part. Please, guys, if you have questions, toss them out. I want to give you guys a couple of ideas of ways that you can market in bulk. Number one, I love the idea of a lunch and learn series that's hosted by your agency for local business people in your area, whether they're existing clients that aren't buying the cyber policy you're telling them to, or your prospect list, calling and inviting them or mailing them, inviting them to a lunch where you talk about the need for cyber insurance, what the risks are, and things like that. It's a tremendous way to pick up 10, 20 more clients in a single day. But here's really where you can start in a different way. Look at your local community and learn about all the local groups there. You guys are all successful insurance agents. You know what I'm talking about. Chamber of Commerce's have monthly meetings, and they are always looking for content for people to get up and talk about what they know about. Rotary groups, Main Street societies. I grew up in a town called Cambridge, Maryland, tiny town, but they have a great Main Street organization that meets monthly for all the owners of businesses on the main street and all of the businesses that are incumbent upon those businesses. And so you go in there and you say, I want to talk about cyber insurance to your membership. How do you feel about that? They would say, that sounds fantastic. And you walk in there and you walk out with 10 business cards and 5 clients every time, no question. But let's get even more broad. What about, a lot of town councils or development groups have business association arms that are looking for, redevelopment projects or business owner groups, and any of those would love to have somebody come in and talk about the top cyber risks that businesses need to know about, or how to protect your business, all of these different things. And so I highly recommend starting with these groups. I always say that industry groups as a whole are such a great thing to go after. Industry groups can be really varied, from a local agricultural community that meets quarterly to discuss farm prices. They would love to have somebody talk about data privacy. I know it sounds silly, but farmers love cyber insurance. What if you had a bunch of manufacturing companies in your town or your city? I guarantee you they have some sort of formal group that gets together on a semi-regular basis to talk about the issues that affect them, find out who they are. And the best way I can think of to do this is to go through your existing book of business. I talk to a lot of agents who say that they are generalists, and I love that. They are generalists in that they'll write any piece of business that comes their way. But it's always a rare occasion when you actually look at their book of business that you don't see trends. And those trends can be, oh, I didn't realize I wrote 6 restaurants in this area. Or, oh, I didn't realize that retail has become a really big market for me and I'm writing a lot of retail. Or, oh, I didn't realize I had 10 clients of such and such a accounting firm that I've been working with, and they're all, clients of one specific person. There are trends in your book of business, whether you can see them or not. I recommend printing out your existing book of commercial business and seeing if you can spot those trends. Maybe it's 5 restaurants, maybe it's 3 manufacturing firms. Call your existing clients and say, look, I want to talk about cyber. What groups are you a part of? I'm doing a series of talks on cyber, and I realize there's probably, X number of businesses like yours in the town. What groups are you a part of? And they'll get you in the door because they will have that value add for themselves as well. There's a handout on your screen that has some industries that are cyber focused. I encourage you, the picture of it is just down here on the bottom right. I encourage you to download it for inspiration. Maybe you'll look at it and your book of business and be, I really do have a bunch of media liability risks, or I really do have a bunch of nonprofits, or man, I have one agent who writes an absolute ton of United Ways, and the United Way of such and such, the United Way of here and there and everywhere. And we should be talking to United Way and saying, look, let me come in and talk to the rest of the United Ways about the cyber program that I've put together for you guys. And I highly recommend you trying that as well. Questions? Well, the one question I would be having, and I know that some of you are having, is, well, what would I even talk about when I got there? Well, we're here to help you with that. I feel like we've had enough webinars at this point that if you called and asked me for some content, I can email you slides of our previous webinars, and I'm always happy to do that. But I'd also tell you I have a 3-step process that I like to use when talking about cyber to people who don't talk about cyber all day long. I always start with a story, an absolutely petrifying story that happens either locally or is applicable to this particular group of people. If you are speaking to a group of local business people, see if you can't find a data breach that's happened locally. If you can't, try to find one for an industry that someone will be present. We'll talk about where to find these things later. Second, I would have some data points. Let's say that all of the people that you're going to be speaking to are businesses under 50 employees, 100 employees, whatever that number might be. There are amazing places in the world to find data sets and data points that you can use in your presentations to scare the pants off them and make them realize that cyber is applicable to them too. You might remember my early slide that talked about 50% of small to medium-sized businesses reported a data breach in the last 12 months. And that the second piece of data, which is the hammer, is 60% of those businesses went out of business within 6 months if they didn't have a cyber policy. Those are terrifying data statistics that you can use over and over and over again to each pitch that you do. But why not do it to a group of 20 people instead of one? And then finally, particularly when you're talking to insureds, I feel it very important to have 1 or 2 tips for what they can actually do to be safer in the interim. Because while buying a cyber policy is just common sense, because we don't even know what the next cyber breach is going to look like. People, particularly business owners, want to feel like they're being vigilant. They're trying. And so I have a few tips that I give out. And the first one, which I assume everybody on this call has heard before, is please, for the love of all that is important, stop using Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer is designed for large-scale, massive enterprises that have entire technology divisions that run updates and patch problems and do all of these things that, quite frankly, the typical user is never, ever, ever going to do. Vulnerabilities in Internet Explorer can sit for weeks, months, years before actually getting fixed because most people don't click that update now button on their computers. Google Chrome automatically updates. It updates itself. So the likelihood of a virus getting onto your computer through Google Chrome is like 1/1000th of what it is on Internet Explorer. So let's start there. Don't use Internet Explorer. And then the second one would be the obvious. Always update your computer when that little thing pops up that says updates are available. Would you like to update? Don't say tomorrow. Do it right then. Because most of the time when an update is available on your computer, it's because they have found a problem and they're trying to fix it. So you want to fix it. You want to keep yourself safe. Do that. The third thing, as far as tips go for telling customers and making them feel better, is to tell them to make sure that their offices are an environment where if somebody clicks on something suspicious, they don't try to hide it. They tell you immediately so that you can get ahead of it. Talking about cybersecurity and the importance of cybersecurity to the firm, telling them that it's inevitable that every single person in that office is going to click on something bad, and that's okay. We just want to get it off as quickly as possible, so please tell us. You know, telling employees when you make a mistake, because then they'll know that they can also make a mistake and it's okay. The world isn't going to end. And putting good practices in place, you know, with regards to cybersecurity. All those things are really important. We can get into more details when you guys are starting to pitch to your big groups. You know, you can reach out to me and I can help you collect that information. But also, we've talked about a few of these before. There are lots of websites out there that collect data on data breaches. Informationisbeautiful.com is one of them where you can search and really filter data. And every time you click on one of these circles, it'll take you to an article that'll give you details. But let's say you were looking for a retail company that had a data breach, you could click on this Outlook or House. Those are both retail. You know, let's say it was a tech company, a software company, click on Canva, that's software. Let's say it was hospitality, there's Marriott Hotels. You know, let's say it was medical, you know, MyHeritage or MyFitnessPal, those are all medical. So there's lots of different ones that you can look at based on industry, and they'll help you narrow it down to find something that will be understandable and relatable to your client. I talk a lot about trade publications. If you have a local trade publication, you should be writing about cyber in it. Also, you should find great content in other trade publications. Let's say you're going through your book of business and you've realized you've got 5 or 6 restaurants in your book of business. So you're going to start going after restaurants and saying, look, I've got an insurance program for restaurants. I'm really good at them. I do a number of them. You know, go to the restaurant trade publications and see what articles they've written on cyber risk and print them off and hand them over. It's the easiest thing you can do. And then if you're a Wingman customer, you have access to our eRisk Hub in the tools section. It has a claim scenario section that allows you to find specific examples based on business sector, revenue size, number of records lost, or even what kind of data breach it was. So I encourage you to play around with that. Also in the eRisk Hub are short little videos that you can show to groups if you'd like to in the Learning Center. It's amazing. It also can even help you with tips as a risk manager. So for example, putting together disaster recovery plans for your clients. You could do a whole lunch and learn on disaster recovery planning. For example, you could have a template disaster recovery plan, invite 10 of your prospects to the room and say, let's all put together your disaster recovery plan. What would you do in the event of X, Y, and Z disasters, a fire, a cyber breach, etc.? There's some really great stuff there, and I encourage you to take a look. And we already talked about this, the security and privacy training, the Learning Center. All right, so we've set up the basics. You're going to talk to your existing clients and prospects by asking them what their cyber risks really are and how you can help them mitigate them. You're gonna call on the big groups in your area, whether it be Chamber of Commerce, Main Street societies, the Rotary clubs, the whatever you're a member of. Even if you're a member of a yacht club or whatever, you can do a lunch series there for all of the membership. You can invite local business owners. You can talk to your existing, you're going to talk to your existing customers and see what groups they are a part of and help you get in the door there. And you're going to then have all the content that you need, a story, some data, and some tips to keep them safe when you get there to help them better feel safe and help you better pick up a bunch of clients all at one time. Who's got questions, thoughts? You guys are awful quiet today, and I know this group. That's not normal. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up here and tell you that if you have any questions that you want to throw at me later, I'm happy to help. You can reach me specifically at Ellie, ELLIE, at wingmanins.com, or help@wingmanins.com will get you anybody on my team. If you want a copy of this webinar to send to other people, I am happy to provide it. You just need to let me know. If you know somebody who missed it today, that's okay. They're going to get it via email in about an hour anyway. But if there's no questions, I am going to sign off for today. And if you guys have any tips on future topics that you want me to cover, I'm happy to do it. Just let me know. Thank you all for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you again next time.